Hey, this is Ish Monroe talking about my tackle for 2014. You know, the rod that I'm going to be using for the big swim baits, and when I say big swim baits, I'm talking about like the Jerry Ragos, the Huddlestons, you know, the new coming big S-Waver by River to Sea, Lunker Punker baits. The rod I'm going to be using is the Daiwa 8-foot swim bait rod. Well, this rod has a lot of guides in it to allow you to make that long cast. It's definitely got a parabolic action to it to definitely let the fish get the hook, bait good, but also for you to get a good hook in them and not to lose the fish when he's swinging that big swim bait in his mouth. I team it up with the Lexa 300 Power, which is a 5-to-1 gear ratio reel, a really slow gear ratio reel with a big handle on it that I love for having that big cranking power. Team it up with 20-pound Maxima fluorocarbon. I'm pretty much ready to go, you know, fishing these big swim baits like this. You know, one thing that you've seen me this year is have a lot of different rods for a lot of different applications. And you already see me pull out, you know, my smaller swim bait rod. And this is the reason that I have the big swim bait rod, because I'm throwing big swim baits like this. And a lot has to do with the casting ability that this 8-foot rod gives you with the action of it, that allows you to take that bait and make really long casts with it. You know, and making long casts with a swim bait is definitely key. So having the right rod and reel combo when you're making these casts is what it takes. And so that's why I'm going to have two different swim bait rod setups. The 5-to-1 gear ratio reel allows you to just turn the handle at a normal speed, but it's slow enough to keep that bait, you know, turning and having those legs, that tail kick. And reeling that bait too fast, you're going to have that bait turn over and roll over on you. And so that's why I stick with the Lexa Power, which is the 5-to-1. So the Zillion swim bait rod, as you can see, has several guides on it, and that's another thing that helps allow you to make those really long casts. So the casting, you know, is definitely key to having the right rod, and a lot of guides on this rod, you know, allows you to cast this really big bait. You know, we call them the tennis shoe. I like to do a sidearm cast, kind of a lob cast, which allows the rod to load and then you go forward with it. It's almost like a slingshotting action that this rod does to allow you to make those really long casts with the bait. The long handle allows me to tuck this rod underneath my arm for leverage and for fishing this really big bait and making, you know, a lot of casts with it. So it's really smooth, really easy, really comfortable, and it won't wear on me a lot. So what I do is tuck this rod underneath my arm, leaning up against my side. And so same thing when I get a set, it's real pull set to bury those hooks into that fish. I don't like to set upwards or jerk because you've got a really big swim bait in that fish's mouth, and you know you're trying to bury this hook into him. So when he clamps down on it, because he's always going to eat it head first, well, when you hit him hard, it pops it and rotates that bait out of his mouth, and so I don't think you get a really good hookup when you're out there with these fish. You know, anytime I'm fishing these big swim baits like this, I really like to use fluorocarbon. Allows me to have a little bit more sensitivity when I can feel that fish, you know, ticking at the bait, or when he's not got it really good. And plus the fluorocarbon has a little bit less stretch in it versus monofilament, so I get a better hookup set. But I don't like using braid with these kind of swim baits just because braid floats and it'll raise that bait up into, you know, the non-strike zone unless I'm fishing, you know, a wake bait or a top water will be the times that I fish it. But as you can see, that tail just kicks just right. Areas I like to fish swim bait: anywhere, everywhere, any time of year. There's no wrong place to throw a swim bait. It's just picking the right swim bait for the applications. When I'm fishing shallow water, and when I say shallow, 10 feet or less, I really like the through line just because they have a real good suspending action and you can fish them slow. When I'm fishing deeper than that, I really like to put a jig head in my swim bait. If I'm fishing a lot of current, I like to put a jig head in my swim bait. So those are kind of things that I will do to fish them in different applications, but you can fish a swim bait anywhere. When you're fishing to win, that's what you use. You pick up a swim bait and you throw it because it catches big fish. It catches the right fish on any lake that you want to fish. There's no place that I feel that I can't throw a swim bait that I don't have the opportunity to win. So going to the Classic 2014, you're probably going to see me throwing a swim bait. So check out all this new great Daiwa equipment. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting, and love to catch fish. Let's go.